Hello everyone, I hope you are having a slayful day. My name is Flick and you're listening to Hard Hats and Heels, recorded at Flexi Desks, Sunshine Coast. Hello! I am so excited to be in your ears. I am honestly astounded that we're actually here and I am so excited. It is like an understatement, like words cannot express. So, we are going to start with our series and what we're going to be starting our podcast with every week called Friday Knockoffs. So this will be a high or a low or something about work for the week that I just thought was a little bit notable. And starting off, honestly, next week will probably be a bit more work related, but this podcast has definitely got to be my high for this week. It has definitely got to be the top of the board. I could not think of anything else this week that has been this cool. So that is my Friday knockoff, but next week will be a little bit more work related. However, for this week, that is definitely it. So let's just jump right in. Who am I? What's my story? And be showing you guys just a little bit about who I am and why I think I'm qualified to yap about women in construction. So I am Felicity, but all my friends call me Flick, so I hope you will be too. I am a 20-year-old from the Sunshine Coast. I grew up in Hervey Bay. I lived there until I was 14, and then I moved to the Sunshine Coast, and honestly, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Hobbies. What do I spend my spare time doing when I'm not at work? What am I doing? It is definitely anything movement related, whether it's going to the gym, Pilates, going for a run, hot girl walks. I am all about movement. It's exactly what I like to do. And I don't know if some people don't class it as a hobby, but I definitely do. It's definitely my forte. All right. Why did I start the potty? Like, I feel like everyone's going to be a little bit like, why? I personally think there should be 10 times more women in construction than there is. I have been doing civil construction since I was 17, and I reckon I've only come across working with 3 females, which is astonishing for the fact that I'm almost 21. So I just want to get the message out there, show that there's another girl killing it in the industry, and you can definitely be killing it too. So I invite you guys to be in my ears. I invite you guys to have me in your ears every week, and hopefully I can inspire a few more women into construction and, make it a little less male dominated. So, let's just start from the beginning. Why did I get into it? Like, what was the thought process behind, let's do civil construction? Well, fun fact, I actually had no idea what I wanted to do. I was in high school, like I'm sure many people literally had no clue what I wanted to do. However, I did know that I wasn't going to do some stereotypical job. I wasn't going to be a nurse, I wasn't going to be a hairdresser, and I wasn't going to be a beauty therapist, all very stereotypical women-filled jobs. I could not think of me doing any of those, and I knew that I wanted to be outside. I love the outdoors, I love the sun, I love doing all sorts of things that are outdoors, and I knew that I wanted to work outside. So that's what we did, obviously. And I was always a bit of a tomboy. So honestly, it was a no-brainer that I was going to end up in something like this. Growing up, I was always playing outside in the mud, always playing with Tonka trucks. So no-brainer that I definitely ended up in the right industry. Let's have a chat about how I got into it. So let me take you back to 17-year-old Felicity. I went to Calandra High School and I hated it. And when I tell you that I hated school, I was on the verge of being kicked out every week because I literally would beg my mum to stay home, or I would literally just skip school because I had no desire to be there. I had no interest in it. I genuinely wanted to drop out. I thought that for like an idea of what I was going to do, I was in grade 12, and for an idea of what I wanted to do, I was going to do childcare, which always was. I do love kids. It's very, I feel like a very easy role to fall into. I have my Cert 3 in childcare, early childhood education. However, we definitely were not going to go down that path. So, backstory, I was in a math class, literally sitting there not paying attention, like I'm sure a lot of kids were. And I was actually checking my school emails for once, go flick. And we checked our email, and my high school careers lady, I think that's what you'd call her, or expert, whatever you want to call her, sent out an email saying that a company on the coast was looking for a pipe laying trainee. And if I'm being completely honest, I had no idea what pipe laying was. Honestly, you could have told me that you were like doing any sort of thing and I would have believed you because I had no idea what it was. But Flick submitted my resume because obviously I really knew how to talk myself up. Clearly, I have my own podcast. And we sent it off to the recruiter. She sent it to them. And within the day, I had a phone call back. It really is a pivotal point that the fact that I had a phone call back that day, construction companies are screaming out for women. Just keep that in mind. And yeah, so I had my first phone call and I did a little interview over the phone, and I honestly reckon I would have interviewed so poorly because I didn't know what I was working. I didn't even really know what civil construction was. I knew it was mud and dirt, but really what trade is it? So just kind of dodgy it up on the phone. I ran out of my class in the middle of the class to answer the phone call because I was still in school. And then within a week or two, I had a proper sit down interview with Community Solutions, and that is the company that I have worked for since. Community Solutions are so high up in my books. They are astonishing. They take such good care of their trainees and apprentices, and I could not recommend them enough. I am about to be qualified as a skilled civil construction labourer, and I could not thank them enough for the whole process. They made it so easy. They helped me every step of the way, and they were so supportive of everything that I've wanted to achieve. And yeah, what more could you want, honestly, from a company? So if you're not familiar of how these industries work, the way the companies do it is, so you have a company and they need to employ apprentices and trainees. Now, a lot of companies, it's a big process to have their own apprentices and trainees that are solely hired through the company because they're not a registered RTO or training provider. So they go to companies like Community Solutions. Community Solutions find apprentices and trainees for them, and then they find host companies for them. Lucky enough for me, a host company really worked out in my favour, but we'll get into that later, why. But yeah, so Community Solutions are definitely my personal preference. I've not heard of another company that does it the way they do, and I'm really, really, really impressed with the way they run things. It also gives you the beauty of being full-time instead of just being casual, because things like wet weather and over holidays really affect, obviously, construction work, and it's nice to still be getting paid as opposed to casual where you're not. So I really enjoy being full-time as a personal preference for me. So let's just jump into my traineeship experience. So I had a bit of a wild ride, to say the least. So as I mentioned before, I started as a pipe layer trainee. And I obviously didn't know what that was. And when I got into it, I was like, what the hell am I doing? Because I was not interested at the start. So I was like, I don't want to be in a pipe laying traineeship, but I was already in the foot in the door, which is one of the main messages I really want to promote to everyone is literally just get your foot in the door. Because once you're in, that experience will speak for itself. And once you're in, I honestly, truly believe that you are in. So I was a pipe layer trainee for roughly about 3 to 6 months and was not interested at all. And then I convinced my superintendent at the time that I wanted to be in a supervision traineeship at 17 years of age. Now, I know how that sounds, and I know that's wild, but somehow he thought that I was supervisor material, and he approved of it. So I got put into a supervision traineeship at 17 years of age. I stayed in that for about, I want to say 9 to 13 months. And then the unthinkable happened. So the company that I was working for made me redundant, and they essentially made you redundant. So they were losing work and they didn't have the capacity to have trainees at the time. So they made a bunch of their trainees redundant, and unfortunately I was just one of them. Now at the time I honestly thought this was the worst thing in the world. And I remember when they told me, I bawled my eyes out crying, absolutely bawled. And I was so upset. I just didn't know what the future holds. And honestly, that uncertainty would get to anyone. So I was like, what the frick am I going to do now? And Community Solutions, again, went above and beyond, and they found me a position with another company that I honestly didn't really want to work for them. And I was not too keen on the idea, but I went and I worked for them, and I am still with the company to this day. I've been with them for 16 months, and they are so good to me, and they've honestly put me in positions at my age and being a woman that I never thought I was going to achieve at such a young age. I've honestly hit my milestones way before I wanted to. The downside, though, of moving companies, obviously I was in a supervision traineeship at 19 years old, which is pretty wild. From 17 to 19, I was in a supervision traineeship with no experience. How someone signed off on that, I have no idea. But when I moved over to the new company, they were a little bit like, what the hell is going on? And honestly, I understand now, but at the time I was just so confused because I thought I was like the best. But I think everyone does at that age. And so I transferred over to them, and they put me into a Cert 3 in civil construction, which, if I'm being honest, that's what I should have started in the first place. Not pipeline, not supervision. I should have started in the bottom of the base, Cert 3 in civil construction. So there's so many things they go over in this traineeship. So it's supposed to take 3 years, and I have done it in about my actual Cert 3, I have done it in about 18 months. I'm getting an early completion. So that's like pretty cool, pretty fun. They cover so many things in it. You can get machine tickets. I got my roller ticket and my loader ticket, which is quite a cool experience that like I can operate machinery. It's like pretty cool. And then you get like all your basic tools, basic leveling, calculate and measurements, minor concrete works, like all that jazz. Really gives you a really good entry into the civil construction world, I feel. And gives you, just such a good entrance way, and it really like helps you if you want to take it to the next step. So let's just have a little chat about what I've achieved, as if my head wasn't big enough already. But I really just want to really show you guys that I can be really trusted to talk about this, that I really know what I'm doing. I really do have a passion for women in construction. I really want to see them come through. It is just definitely my passion in life. So let's just have a chat about the first and foremost. So I went to my old high school, which is a pretty astonishing, I think, for someone who hated high school. The fact I went back a year later after I graduated to speak about women in construction and what I had achieved and what I had done, and just endorsing women into the industry. Obviously, I had a chat to the grade 12s and just basically told them what I was doing, what I was about, and the fact that you really shouldn't be scared and you should just really give it a shot. And we had, I think it was 13 girls came up to us after and like signed up for information packages. And I know personally one of the girls, and she is in the same company as me now, which is like so surreal that I gave her like the first speech about civil construction, and now she's working in the same company as me, which is exactly what I'm trying to achieve. So we had that, which was like so cool, so happy about it. And then moving on to, I am the poster girl for Community Solutions. So you may have seen in my logo that there is a photo of me holding a shovel. And no, I did not take that for the podcast. These photos are roaming around on the internet, in billboards, and all over the place on posters, because I am their poster girl, which is like pretty cool, I reckon. I love being a poster girl. It really gives me an opportunity to talk about what I do and how I do it and all things above, because I really, 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 really cannot tell you how passionate I am about getting women in construction, because it is such a male dominated field and women don't understand they bring so much to the table in the civil construction world, or even just as like in male dominated fields. Our brains operate differently, so there's different things that we're going to bring, whereas we may not be as strong as a man, but we definitely have our strengths as well as our weaknesses, but so does everyone. All right, what else have I achieved? Just me thinking about my long list of things. No, but we have like a full cool things. So when I moved over to my new company, I gave it about 6 months. And when I started, I can honestly tell you that literally no one liked me. I was a very outspoken young person and a girl at that. And some people just don't like it. Whereas I wasn't going to change myself. I wasn't going to become quiet. I wasn't going to become timid, because I know that that's not the role I want to be in. I want to be a supervisor, and I'm going to achieve being a supervisor. And you do not get there by letting people walk all over you. You get there by using your brain and making smart and safe decisions, and honestly just trying to climb that ladder. And so at 6 months post being with the new company, I started doing pre-starts, which to a lot of people that may be like, oh, what does that mean? So every morning you do like a pre-start. You're not sure what it is. You just basically have a chat about what's going on, hazards on site, like what everyone's going to be doing, and everyone signs on to it. It's like a safety, like you sign on, I'm fit for work. So at, I believe I was 18. No, 19. I was 19 when I started doing them. At 19, I was doing pre-starts to a room full of like 70 men, which is pretty wild. I was standing in front of 70 men and using my big girl voice, as I like to call it, and telling everyone what they were going to be doing for the day, which is like pretty insane to think about, because coming from a girl who, when my first day on the job site, I was too nervous to even like speak on the two-way. I now felt comfortable enough and confident enough in my ability to stand in front of a group of 70 people and 70 men at that, and really voice what we were doing and safety concerns and pulling people up on things that needed to be pulled up on, which to me is like a pretty big accomplishment. And if it doesn't prove that a woman literally can do anything they put their mind to, then I don't really know what else. On to the next. I was nominated for Trainee of the Quarter for Southeast Queensland with Community Solutions, which was honestly not really a big surprise. I honestly had seen it coming, but I really was like, at the time it came, I was really quite shocked. And everyone said that I was very well deserving of it, which I think is quite an accomplishment. I love that I can put that on a resume. I love that I can tell people that, because it really once again proves that women can do whatever you put your mind to. Just another example, another day of paving the way for women in construction and in male-dominated fields, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. Pave the way for women in male-dominated fields, which is what I do every day that I show up to work. Because every day that you show up as a woman in a male-dominated field to work, you are paving the way for the next generation of women to come through, which even literally if you are the bottom of the rank trainee, bottom of the rank apprentice that just gets sent to get tools or whatever, that it does not matter. You are paving the way for women to come through. You are making room for women in the industry, and every day that you show up, you're showing other men that women do belong out there, that we do belong in the field, and that's pretty cool to me. And then on to our last leading job sites at 20 years old. So my last job site, I want to say last November, so we are in February. So last November, I found myself in a job where we didn't have a leading hand there, and my supervisor was only there once every was only there for a few hours a day. So he needed someone to do pre-starts, make sure site was running well and make sure everything was running well and figure it out, basically. And that's exactly what I did. So at 20 years old, I was ordering gravel for job sites. I was ordering rock. I was ordering for trucks to come the next week, and I was making sure the diggers still knew they were going to turn up. I was making decisions on rain days. If it was pouring rain, I was making decisions whether everyone went home or if we had a crack that day, which I really just want to sink that into your brain, that was me as a woman at 20 years old. And if I can do that, you can do it too. Don't get me wrong, I think I'm pretty fucking cool, but I am, at the end of the day, just another woman, and I am such the girl's girl. I hate when people say, oh, I'm not like other girls. I am exactly like other girls. I love my hot girl walks, I love Pilates, I love the colour pink, and I love doing my makeup. And if I'm such a girl's girl and I'm literally the same as every other girl, and this is how far I've come in such a short amount of time, why can't you? So if you want to get into this industry, I really, really do encourage you to, because honestly, the only place that you have to go is up. You start at the bottom and the only way to go is up. And I'm not telling you that, yeah, I started at the bottom and I've worked my way up and I've never felt like I've slipped back to the bottom. I feel like I've slipped back to the bottom multiple times a week. But that's just the reality of learning. And the beauty of a job like this is you are forever learning. You will never, ever know everything, especially in civil construction. I truly believe civil construction is jack of all trades, master of none, because we do so much. We do concreting, we do pipes, we do roads, we do footpaths, we do curb. There is so much that we actually do that it's really a jack of all trades, master of none, which I really like that saying, because it really proves how much you can learn and what you can do. So that is our first episode of the week done. I am so happy. I really hope you enjoyed it. Next week, please tune in, because we're going to be chatting about what jobs are out there and what they mean and what things you need, what tickets you need for each job, how to basically get your foot in the door through the eyes of me, which honestly, I have so many female friends in so many different trades. So I really think I'm qualified to be chatting to you guys about what we're doing next week. So yeah, I hope you all had an wonderful times with me in your ears. Again, I hope you have the most slayful day out there, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week.